Okay guys, in this video I'm going to show you two infields, one where it got rejected and another one where it was 30 minutes long. This particular day I did 5 interactions and like 4 of them went pretty well. And I want to show you like the second and third one just to see the contrast between rejection and something going really well, okay? In this video you'll learn how I do it, the exact steps I do it, the principles of how I do it, and really like honestly my performance here is probably like 60% what I'm capable of because I don't go out that much to cold approach these days. But I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it to show you that once you have the skill set, it doesn't matter how long you haven't been doing it, how long you've been in a relationship. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you have the skills installed in your brain, it comes back automatically as you get into that action, okay? It's not that hard when you have the right steps to take. If you want more resources to help you with exactly what to say, how to say it, the energy field, the nonverbals, more infields like this, check out the first date formula, download the 33 lines using the link below, and just check out the course right now. It's 50% off, and it'll really give you like a lot more videos like this where you can just break down every step of the way and build your own conversation style that's congruent to you. All right, let's get into it. I like your face. All right, this one's a little bit out of sync, right? But I went up to her. So when you go up to a girl from the behind, you don't want to tap her from behind because it's kind of like a scary thing. So usually I come in from the side, okay? So she can see me coming in. And then I'm like, hey, I get her attention first. Getting the girl's attention is key. Before you, some girl guys just blurt out the line. Get her attention and then say, hey, right? Say something. In this case, we walk by these girls and I realized she had a beautiful face. I think she's with her dad or her uncle, and then she's with her kid. There's a kid, either she's an auntie to the kid or there's a kid, I'm not sure it's her kid, but it's like a whole family, right? My wingman was pushing me like, you gotta go and do this, like prove to people you can do it. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll try. So I go, and you'll see here how I do it. I got her attention. I did a quick takeaway, and then I came back and I said, hey, I like your face.
Oh, thank you.
Now, the reason I exited was because I said, hey, I like your face. It's kind of an aggressive opener, but it was such a weird situation with their family. I was like, hey, I wanted to meet you. I could have done that, but I just went straight in, you know, just perhaps as a challenge. One thing you'll know is that she said thank you, and then I don't know if you can see it, but she went right back to like grabbing the thing and feeding her kid, or the kid. And so I realized at that moment, based on her expression, that she was like, when someone's like, oh, hey, thank you, and they go back to what they're doing, usually that's not a good sign, right? Usually it's like, oh, you're not that important, I'm gonna continue what I'm doing. It could be just she's engaged in that process of feeding the kid or whatever. But once I said it, I'm like, all right, cool. I could have stayed a little bit and said something more, but I could tell by her micro expressions and the way that she was still continuing to look for the food to feed the kid that I wasn't her priority. And also with the family there, I didn't want to make it too awkward, so I just kind of left. And so you could technically count that as a rejection, okay? But I would say the way I approach from the side, getting her attention first, and then saying whatever it is my opener is, are good lessons to take away.
Totally random. What are you reading?
Just got at the airport, but it's nice.
All right, this girl right here, I saw her walking by, beautiful girl. The way she was walking, everything about her was beautiful. Like there was something about her energy field in addition to how she looked. She sat down in this cafe and I went up. And the reason I'm leaning down right now is because I couldn't hear her. She was very soft-spoken. So I leaned in to like listen to her.
It's a romantic novel?
Just a little novel.
Okay.
And then I stood back up, right? I wasn't like leaning in like, all right, it's cool. I'm talking to you now. I don't want to leave. It's like I stood back. It's just light takeaway. Like, all right, cool. I'm showing non-verbally that I'm not afraid to just get up and walk away. Like I don't need anything from her. And this is expressed non-verbally.
You're visiting? East Coast?
I recognized the waitress. I wasn't like denying her. I wasn't like, you know, catering. I'm just like, oh, cool, she's looking. I just acknowledged her with a glance, and then I went back to my original person I wanted to talk to.
What's West Coast?
Hawaii, actually.
Oh, okay. Why Hawaii?
I live there.
I know. I feel like if I went to vacation, I would just stay in Hawaii.
No, I was here for a meeting today, and it already happened, so I fly out.
You're done. Tonight's your last night.
Yeah.
Plans? I'm by the way.
So I said, you know, she's very candid with her answers, and at some point, you know, I'm just like, okay, I asked her 3 questions now. Let me introduce myself, right? Because you can get into that trap of just keep asking questions. Now we have an interaction, right? Now it's like a proper introduction, a social ritual, if you will, to move on to the next step. Make sense? I'm not just a stranger walking by anymore. I actually got her name. So now I have almost an excuse to sit down, and my plan is to sit down within the next 30 seconds or so, but I want to do it with her permission, if that makes sense, rather than forcing my way into it, okay? It's a very subtle, nuanced difference between forcing yourself and kind of being a bull in the china shop versus being subtle and letting the girl indicate to you when she's comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nice to meet you. You have a very soft-spoken voice. Do you work in your job? Is it related to
Amazon. You're welcome to sit.
just for a bit?
So whenever she's like, you're welcome to sit, I'm not like, oh, thank you. I'm just like, okay, just for a bit, right? Because I'm always preserving my own value. So I was like, I looked around, I'm like, all right, just for a bit. So I'm not just taking it like a beggar. I'm taking like, yeah, I'll sit down with you. Like I'm also considering my feelings and my opportunity cost, right? So it's a good line. So yeah, just for a bit. So that also lets her know that if it gets awkward or if it doesn't turn out to be a good conversation, that I'm just gonna leave, right? I'm not gonna stay there forever. When you're engaging people, they're always wondering, is this guy gonna be weird, especially women? And if it gets weird, does he have the social intuition to just leave me alone? So I'm letting her know with those few words, yeah, just for a bit, that I reserve my value, I'm aware of her value, and that if it gets weird, I'm the type of guy, I'm giving her a hint that I'm the type of guy that will leave, and I will be responsible for not making you feel awkward, okay?
Do you like your job?
I do.
I used to work at Google.
Okay.
So whenever I talk about these Fortune 500s, I get bored.
So very important here, I'm kind of leaning back. I'm having trouble hearing her later on, but in the beginning I lean back because I do these little body takeaways where I'm just non-verbally expressing like, I'm not needy, I'm not eager, I'm not nervous. I'm just leaning back for a bit. Like, yeah, we're talking like normal people. My body language is the same as if I was hanging out with like a good friend of mine, you know what I mean? So it just non-verbally speaks a lot to like my lack of neediness for this to go well. And ironically, that tends to make the interaction go well.
So I left and I did something else. I help people with relationships. So now I'm a coach. Yeah. But it's a weird journey though. What's that?
What a 180.
From on a computer to talking and yeah.
Are you here for that or are you here to?
No, I just moved to Vegas. Yeah.
So now we're going through about 5 to 10 minutes of just like really genuine conversation, right? I talk about my story about, you know, leaving corporate. She talked about her story about building her own business. It turns out she's like this amazing businesswoman who like surfs. She's a hustler. Like she is a high performer for sure, no question asked. And also extremely nice and very easy to talk to.
I was in the Bay Area.
At this point, I've established enough value, right? Or we have enough of an agreement where literally we're just hanging out. I find out this is her last day here. She doesn't have any plans. And we're just like enjoying each other's company. And you'll notice how the way I tell my story is I'll tell a little bit of that story and then she'll ask a question like, yeah, you know, I left my job at Google. Oh, what'd you do next? I'm a dating coach. Really? So every statement that I'm making, I'm leaving little hooks for her to ask the next question. And then when she asks a question, I don't always keep talking about myself, right? I'm like, so what about you? Like, what gets you off about life? You know, what sexual innuendo, by the way, what gets you off about life? She's like, I love surfing on the water. I'm like, you like getting wet, you know, little things like that. I'm not obsessively making sexual innuendos, but I'm getting to know what her high is, right? She loves surfing. She loves working hard, making money. She wants to buy a house in Hawaii. Just like these things, we're just getting to like really interesting, comfortable conversation about where we are, who we are.
This to me is like.
It's recent. That's recent. Yeah. Especially if we've been together for a few years.
It was only a year, but I hadn't had a husband.
I always want to find out like their relationship status. So I found out she just ended a relationship. She's kind of going through a breakup period. So I know this is not the best time for me to, you know, date her per se. She doesn't seem like the type of girl that would, she's in her early 30s. So she's not like looking for sex as like a band-aid. She's really looking to heal, right? So we started talking about that. And the reason I wanted to get that out of her is because I'm, you have to understand what you're looking for. If you're looking for one night stand, you might just want to leave this interaction right now. I'm looking for friends, business people, people that are interesting, and people that can lead me to my future wife, right? So I'm building these connections and trying to understand these girls. And so this helps me reach my goal. And also I enjoy talking to her. But yeah, keep in mind, if your goal is just like going to Vegas and trying to go through girls that are willing to sleep with you, then maybe you want to leave, right? But you always want to be aware of your overarching objective and also balance that with like, how much fun am I having in this conversation? How much am I learning? Do I enjoy this other person's company? And those are some of the things you want to think about when you're identifying and clarifying your goal when it comes to dating. The waitress comes and she delivers and she asks me if I want anything. I don't like paying for stuff when I'm kind of working, and also I don't really, I make my own tea at home, right? So when she asks me, I'm like, I'm good, thank you. But you can always order hot water with lemon, that's free. But I acknowledged her and I said, thank you for taking care of us, right? So now I'm creating this bubble like, oh, it's us, rather just me as a stranger. So the waitress literally thinks that I'm her friend and I'm hanging out with her at this point. So always create what we call us bubble, right? Thank you for taking care of us, I appreciate it. As if you were with a girl, and then creating that environment, again, that us bubble, like we're together. And other people don't know, and then that solidifies kind of that context, if you will, like we are together now, hanging out. So it's not weird anymore. I'm not some guy that just walked up to her. I'm literally just a friend hanging out with her at this point, 10 minutes into the conversation. So.
Okay.
She's looking up certain books that she was reading. She was asking me for my recommendation of breakup books that helped me through my breakup. So we're just comparing notes at this point.
Did you get a text? I'll send you my reading list. There's like there's a curated list of things. I just can't find it right now, but it's on my desktop.
I gave her like a expectation of I would get her. I had a list of like breakup books that I was gonna send her, and I'm just like hanging out at this point.
So I was done at 5 a.m.
Okay. Japanese will be good. Someplace Japanese for dinner. That'd be cool.
I'm talking to her about dinner, and I noticed that she likes Japanese food. She used to live in Vegas actually, so I end up asking her for recommendations to go for dinner, and then she's like, I don't have any plans for dinner. So now this is like potential first date.
Okay.
Super interested. Let me know.
Super interested, would love to let me know, right? So she has no other plans. She's super interested. She's literally, her last day in Vegas. She has no plans. She's done with the conference. So this is like a perfect time to go on a date.
You are one of a kind. Nice meeting you.
She was one of a kind because she was such a beautiful soul to talk to, and she owns like 3 businesses, I think. And she was beautiful physically. So it was a rare find, to be honest with you. Sometimes you just get lucky and you find these. And it was my privilege and an honor to really meet her and get to know her, right? So this is the power of game, when you can seek the truth and get into situations where you just meet another beautiful soul and your journeys intersect, right? Whatever happens from there. But this is what's possible, right? I've had situations in my prime, in my 20s, when I was going out a lot, where I'd walk by a restaurant in New York and I would end up eating and hanging out with them at the restaurant, and the waitress like, is this your friend? So they're just crazy moments, right? That you don't think it's possible, but with proper communication skills, it is possible and it does happen. My wingman who filmed this later on, he said, I couldn't believe that happened. Like I was like trying to get the good shot. And I'm like, I didn't believe you when you told me you could do this, but he's like, now I believe you, right? Because it's like little proof. Like I just sat down for, how long was this? 27, he only filmed 27 minutes, but I was there probably for about 35, 40 minutes, okay? Interacting with this beautiful girl, beautiful interaction, set up the date for tonight, right? So many things are happening just from that one approach, right? And this is what's possible if you just build the fundamentals to get there. If you want more help with this, if you want to know how I come up with my lines, how to say my lines, how I transition, how I use my nonverbal body language, and you want more infields like this where I break it down step by step, then you may want to check out my course, The First Date Formula. Right now, I'm giving 50% off in this open enrollment up to 1,000 students, okay? So check out the link below, click on the link that gives you the download to the 33 lines that you can use, and then you'll get an option to actually purchase the course, okay? It'll have more stuff like this, more in-depth principles, and I'll go through exercises with you to come up with the lines that you can use that are congruent to you, that makes you feel like more of who you are, And then when you do attract a girl, you're attracting her based on like your real personality. So she's actually liking you for who you are as a person, okay? It took me 10 years to develop this attraction cycle principle, the exact steps and the lines. You can't find them anywhere else, and it's 50% off right now. So check out the link below if you found this video useful. As always, please consider subscribing and liking this video for the algorithm to help out other guys and to notify yourself when new videos like this come up so you can continue improving your social skills. I hope I was able to serve you. My name is Giovanni, and I'll see you in the next one.